What's up guys, I'm Joe. Today I'm talking about the new album from Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, Who Built the Moon? So Noel Gallagher is back with his third outing from this group, High Flying Birds, famously known as being a part of the band Oasis, as well as for the ongoing feuds with his brother Liam, who also came out with an album this year, one that I was not overly impressed with. I thought it was just kind of middle of the road, got the job done, nothing particularly special about it. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling the same way about this album, Who Built the Moon. I think it's definitely, the better songs are loaded towards the second half of this album for sure. This first half just doesn't really do much for me. I will say, at least musically, I think this one's a lot more interesting than Liam's album. While I thought that Liam was trying to capture some of what Oasis had really done and done a lot better in the past, Noel Gallagher's music, definitely takes a different route, going for a more psychedelic, stadium-size rock sound. But of course, that works better on some of these songs rather than others, and particularly, like I said, in this first half. Fort Knox, the opening, I thought it was pretty solid. It definitely piqued my interest. It was a groovy, kind of psychedelic instrumental opener for the most part. But then we ultimately get into back-to-back songs that really don't go anywhere. Holy Mountain and Keep On Reaching are kind of just these very straight-ahead rock songs, have like a rock and roll type of vibe to it. They definitely move, they have a drive to them. But I just think they're so kind of run-of-the-mill rock and roll type stuff. And they just kind of feel incomplete to me. I guess the placing on the first half of this album doesn't really quite help it out either, because I feel like you have two back-to-back, just kind of straight-ahead rock songs that don't really go to any particular highs. And then they're followed by It's a Beautiful World and She Taught Me How to Fly, which are kind of spacier, kind of, stadium-friendly as far as the rock sound goes, adding in a little bit of psychedelia. But I don't really like the melodies going on in these songs. I think they get a little bit repetitive, ultimately making the songs feel like sort of half-baked ideas. Be careful what you wish for is when things, start to pick up for me a little bit on here. It brings things down with a sort of murkier, even kind of bluesy feel to it. But again, it has that sort of half-finished feel to it. It just feels like a kind of slower jam, and, some lyrics are thrown on top of it. I don't know. I mean, who am I to say that these are unfinished songs? It just kind of has that feel to it. It feels like the song doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't build to anything, and I do like when that happens in music. Finally, Black and White Sunshine is where this album really starts to pick up for me. It has that sort of stadium U2 kind of feel to it, but with some, shimmering and, sort of floating guitar sounds. Ultimately, reaching to a very big chorus. Noel's vocals on this are some of the best on the album. They really carry this great uplifting melody to them. And, this song reaches heights that I would have wanted to hear in some of the previous tracks. And then even this interlude that comes after that is pretty interesting, bringing some acoustic elements into it. Kind of has like an eerie kind of vibe to it. It feels like there's some tension going on in the music, which almost makes it sound like the soundtrack to something, which is pretty cool. There's some cool, orchestrated type of instruments going on later on that really add to that sort of, flying feeling of it. If Love Is the Law is actually my favorite track on here. I've seen some reviews saying, it might be their actual least favorite on the album, but, for me, it just works really well. Has some really great melodies to it. Again, it comes up to a great height in the chorus. The chorus, is one that is going to fill that stadium and has the most potential for singing along and stuff like that. The chorus especially, it reminds me of Phil Collins for some reason. I think just the way the delivery is done, the way Noel kind of sounds on here, and just the sort of uplifting, chords and moments in those choruses, which I like Phil Collins, so I think that works for me. And then you have The Man Who Built the Moon, which is, employs a sound I would have liked to hear explored a little bit more on this album. It has a darker kind of feel. It has more dissonant sounds going on with the instrumentation, which I found to be, very interesting and makes for one of the better tracks on the album. It does have like a slower kind of drive to it, but I think that overall eeriness, that moodiness, really broke up the sound of the album, and I thought it was something that was really great. You have another, outro interlude type thing, which is instrumental before, I don't know if this is on the standard edition on the album. I know it's on Apple Music, which is what I've been listening through it to. But there's this track, Dead in the Water, which just says it's live, which has these really great, piano-driven moments towards the end. So I thought it makes for a really great closer. I don't know if it's supposed to be a hidden track or a bonus track type of thing. But like I said, ultimately, the second half of this album is far superior to that first half. I don't know if maybe I would have liked those songs more if maybe they were placed throughout the album a little bit differently. Ultimately, the album really picks up, and I think the highs on this album are really great. but they don't quite make up for those lows. So I'm feeling a 3 out of 5 on this one. Again, I really do enjoy those latter songs on here. So let me know what you think of the album in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out some other reviews, and as always, don't forget to subscribe. So thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you next time.